Sanshao is the training method used in this lineage of Tai Chi, which is said to date back to the days of invincible Yang Luchan, who made the art famous as a martial artist in Beijing. He was famous for being able to take on all his challenges without ever being beaten. This particular lineage of Tai Chi has continued the tradition of practical fighting, particularly in the Hong Kong era during the 1950s, 60s and 70s, through the efforts of Sifu Cheng Tin Hung, who produced a good number of full contact fighting champions using Tai Chi alone. There's a really wide repertoire of techniques in Tai Chi, including a very wide variety of defenses, striking techniques with all parts of the body, a lot of different throws, a lot of trips and sweeps, locks and so on. So technically there's an abundance of movements and things to practice, but underneath that there's a lot of really beautiful principles and ideas that you want to put and infuse into your drills. So you've got to do constant research of the principles, use the classics, and as you're training, just constantly try and put those ideas and concepts into your exercises and drills. I'd recommend that you start practicing all the different techniques that we're going to cover really slowly and smoothly. Get used to doing it one side, then get used to doing it the other side, and then you can move on to other techniques. And the other thing you want to do is get your partner to attack left or right once you've kind of mastered the fundamentals. So what you're looking for is a gradual progression between kind of acting and drilling mechanically, so you get the really good foundation technical details down, but also you need to start adding levels of spontaneity in the drills so that your brain is getting used to listen to the situation and read the situation. So I think in kind of sports sciencey stuff, they call it block practice, moving towards a more random practice. So without the random style practice, the more spontaneous style practice, you never actually train your mind and body to actually adapt to real situations as they emerge, you know, in the world. So that's super important. So the first technique shown here is the 7 stars posture from the form, 7 stars guard. And here is a variation with hands closed. The main thing is a triangular shape of the guard and that it's well structured. One hand slightly higher than the other. And this is your basic on guard position for all Sanshao drills. So you want to start and finish all your techniques going back to this 7 star position. I mean, this is not a universal truth. It's a general thing for sort of beginner, intermediate level. You need to have a good guard, good awareness of guard. This is the main drill that we'll be doing today, which is grasping the bird's tail. So there's a couple of arcs and spirals. Traditionally, they'll talk about warding off power here and rolling back power here. So there's a couple of different parries, and then there's a variety of counters using this technique. But we're going to do the most simple and traditional variations that are basically the most useful, and you should spend a lot of time becoming super skillful at that particular technique. So in the first application, you're defending a high hook or roundhouse punch or pub style punch, and at the same time jamming the opposing hand. Now I'd recommend that you don't always jam the hand. Sometimes just do the diversion and keep the other hand in the guard, and other times commit to jamming that hand up by the bicep using a long arm for best leverage. Now the other important detail is that the hand that's warding off their punch stays firm, and also you turn your body 45 degrees. Now what that does is what the classics call drawing the bow. So you're stretching connective tissue, muscle tissue, opening the body up, getting ready to counter with a lot of power. So in the classics, they talk about drawing a bow to store power and releasing your power like you're releasing an arrow. So you've got all that stretched connective tissue and stretched muscle tissue that gives you that elastic recoil power as well as the muscular power. So that's to get the most power there. Here's a lower parry version of the grasping the bird's tail, and one of the traditional finishes is getting this unusual footlock, which actually works much better against a straight kick than it does a round kick. It's actually pretty easy to get hold of. And then once you achieve that, there's a rotation on the foot, which will attack the connective tissue around the knee. Here's the other low jamming aspect of the grasping bird's tail done against punch. And again, follow the force, turn your body so you got stored power, and you can again practice jamming the other guy's arm, either at the forearm, fist, or if you can get it, the bicep, because there's best leverage there. So these are the traditional applications of grasping the bird's tail. Always going back to a guard, in between. Nice 7 stars guard every time. Getting that 45-degree turn to give you power in your counters. Without power, it's no good. Again, these are things that you drill in daily when you do proper martial Tai Chi, doing the internal strength exercises, the Tai Chi Neigong. So here's a third version, and this one was still warding off with the lead arm, or the arm that's diverting the punch, but rather than thrusting out the hand to jam their arm, we're actually going to strike simultaneously, using what in Tai Chi classics they talk about Zai force, or Ji. So it's a thrusting, explosive strike forward, either with the palm or with the fist. So again, practice one side, practice the other. Now here, you can see I was shifting back, practicing the retreating step. Now, these are things you need to practice in all your sandshell drilling, is advancing, retreating, left, right, and rock solid earth, central equilibrium. Always have perfect balance, work your guard, practice using the retreat step, because essentially you want to move 90 degrees to the oncoming force. Okay, so for the rest of this video, we're just going to show just some practice footage of a session last week actually, where we were just working on that technique and introducing one extra throw into the drill, and also one other technique that will show you the form of against a straight punch. So it's called parrying punch. And here, stillness in motion, popping up on the screen there. Basically, the idea of when you're training in Tai Chi, whatever chaos is going on, you want to maintain deep, deep tranquility. So you're hyper-focused, but super relaxed. That's one of the objectives. Now, modern sports science or sort of performance research talks a lot about flow states and things like that. And that's exactly what we're after here. And the Taoists will call it Wu Wei or Wu Wei, which is effortless action. It's where things happen almost spontaneously. So again, the internal strength helps to give you that stillness training. So you condition your movements, you condition your deep relaxation, but you've got to try and keep both the sort of power generating potential that you've gained from the internal strength and the deep relaxation in all the drills. And as your partner gives you more and more intense attacks to work with, you have to do your best to stay as relaxed and calm as possible. So you're completely still in the chaotic motion, so to speak. So that's that very important concept. In fact, most real Taoist practices were quite focused on attaining deep levels of stillness and tranquility. So Tai Chi, deriving from a lot of these concepts, tries to do that in a martial arts setting. Modern day fighter that epitomizes that really well is Fedor Emelianenko. Super adaptable, super fluid, and concentrated without excess emotion in his prime. It. And you just play with your timing on the way in. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I'm feeling a lot there, not as much on the bottom. That time I know you use your knee, but yeah, I feel you need to probably block off the hips with your leg a bit more. That's solid there, yeah. Rear hand and the guard, it often goes back to this default position. It's up to you. Textbook, more like that, right? Because of the protectiveness around there. But sometimes it goes like that. Do you know what I mean? It's just, you'll see it anyway on the video. Yeah, like there. Yeah. It's getting ready. Yeah. And I just think that when it's there, it's almost protecting nothing, almost. Whereas here, it's got all of that. Yeah. You know. Yeah, it's just something to repattern a bit. So here, yeah, we're just adding in a few palm diversions because a lot of guys and girls can kind of get into a bit of a, how can we say, complacent groove. Yeah. So, you know, if you're just feeding them one type of attack, they might not be solidifying their kind of general combat ready, prepared positioning. Yeah. So by adding in some different types of strikes, yeah, you can make sure that your partner starts to develop a sense of what is a really good starting point, a really good guard that gives them flexibility and good attacking and defensive options no matter what comes at them. So yeah, and sometimes you need to break down these skills to quite simple practice. Like here, this is, we're going to show you the form after for parry and punch, but this is just a standard parrying technique used in traditional Tai Chi, where you just use your palm or your forearm to parry, ideally from outside in. Now, in Tai Chi, we've also got the concept of sticking, adhering, softness, things like this. So as soon as you make contact, your hand wants to be kind of stuck to the other guy's hand with a very soft and relaxed contact. So that kind of gives you a certain sureness, which in turn gives you more control over the guy's hand should you need it. That's awesome. When you do it like that, it's a lot different. You can sort of feel your body winding up properly. That's it, yeah. Rest your bane a bit and punch. So into the drill, we've added one of these throws from a movement or posture called flying oblique. There's actually 3 different ways of doing flying oblique, but this is one of the nice, easy to use ones. Basically just keeping your body in a solid position and using your arm to swing them over your leg. Simple as that. We'll probably do a video on these types of things on another day. So yeah, after a while, you just sort of mix these things in and do literally thousands of repetitions. I mean, just do long sessions, like for a half hour, 2 hours, just so that you're really absorbing the skills and making it completely natural. Now, when you're doing it, you should be pretty relaxed. Both of you should be relaxed, and it shouldn't be competitive. It should just be challenging. So you should be challenging your partner, you know, making it difficult for him, so his skills improve. Because if you don't challenge them, they probably won't be improving. But that's it. Definitely not competitive. So you keep the movements fast. You keep your hands and arms and legs loose. So you maintain relaxation. And yeah, that's it. Build up from there. As you can see, it's not rocket science. It's just lots of practice, simple practice, very direct and practical training that's going to make you good at the martial aspects of Tai Chi. Now, at the highest level, you can have exceptional skill because there's a whole kind of compendium of really high-level thought that's been put into these Tai Chi classics that we can use to enhance our physical training, and that can really take your martial skill level to a very advanced level. But ultimately, it's always going to come down to really simple, direct, practical training, as you can see here. Nothing fancy at all, just a lot of repetition and a lot of training. And unfortunately, in the Tai Chi world, we've got a situation these days where very few people are actually training these traditional methods, such as the Sanshao, and they're not doing a very good job of it. Those that are, I don't think, for quite a few reasons. But the other thing that's happening is you've got a lot of kind of energy guys that are out there, you know, blowing people away by sitting on a chair and just touching them and sending them flying, or you see these pushing hands demonstrations where guys jump around and just the lightest of touches. And unfortunately, this is all a con job, and it's kind of con men deceiving people. And actually, they seem to be doing quite well financially by doing it, but it's not good for Tai Chi, and it's definitely not Tai Chi, or not what it was, at least. So yeah, if you see these sort of guys, best to avoid them, any of these energy guys, because it doesn't work, and it's a con job.
No, really good. I was about to say, yeah, sometimes try it just as I'm coming in, just beat me to it. You know what I mean? Or with the throw, like just get in there. Oh, yeah.
It's hot, man.
Yeah, it's hot. It's good though.
Yeah.
Good timing. It's very humid, isn't it? Are you aiming for the shoulder? No, that was...
It's 1 for 1. It's good.
No, yeah, that's true. Let's hope it doesn't go 2-1. Anyone's fucking tooth.
Here's the long form sequence for parry and punch technique. There's actually a high parry here and a low parry there. We didn't actually get around to practicing the low parry. And there's your vertical fist punching counter. So using the waist to parry can be a small movement, and then trying to wind up the body and use leg driven force amplified by your waist. So that's always a Tai Chi way of doing it. It's generating all of the power from your legs, big muscles of the legs, exploding, controlled and accelerated through the waist, and then extending out for a really well-shaped implement, striking implement, in this case the vertical fist. So all of these things need looking at, which is why we have things like the internal strength, which give you the foundation power generating tools, and then you have the very refined artistic expression of the movements in the hand form. What's always surprised me is that traditional Tai Chi contains a few different methods of interval training that are all very interesting and all extremely useful. Sports science knows that to develop your central endurance, your cardiac output, stroke volume, things like that, you want to train at or near VO2 max, which is a measure of how much oxygenated blood you can get pumping around your body. There's also certain principles of specificity, so the movements that you use in your training will determine how much they actually transfer to the real world task that you're training for. Now, this particular method of interval training, where you're using all the muscles of the body in various levels of intensity in exactly the same ways that you would in a fight, help to build up really, really good type of stamina for actual combat. So here's a fixed version where you just fix your stance so you're not running. Still conditioning really, really useful movement patterns, building up a bit more muscular endurance, whereas the running version will sort of target the heart and lungs a little bit more. Interval training is a very, very interesting topic. You can vary the intervals and the rest periods, and you will get significantly different training responses. So in Tai Chi, at least in this system, probably due to some of the tournament styles that they used to fight in, they used to do a lot of 2 minute on, 1 minute off intervals. And these are actually pretty good for keeping your intensity up, but still tapping into the aerobic system. So you've got anaerobic going on, and then you get a decent amount of time to recover with the minute off, so that you can go again with a pretty good high power output. So I would recommend you do your own research into interval durations and rest periods, so that you can calibrate these types of exercises for your own needs. But 2 to 3 minutes on and 1 minute off is pretty good for most people, for martial artists. And if you're picking these type of movements, very repetitive motions that use the whole body, all the muscles of the body, you're going to get an excellent training effect. So the other one with the running is going to target your heart and lungs a lot more. And this one is going to be more about kind of conditioning your movement patterns, as well as building up that sort of muscular endurance in the shoulders and upper body. I was lucky enough to be told from day one when I learned Tai Chi to always breathe in and out through the nose, no matter which aspect of the art we were practicing. And that's great advice due to a few things that I now know from kind of research that has been done. But yeah, many, many benefits of nasal breathing and during exercise. Things like, you produce more nitric oxide, which helps the oxygen get into your body more efficiently, helps to develop good elasticity in the diaphragm, good movement patterns for the diaphragm. It's actually a long list of benefits. The other practical benefit of getting used to breathing through your nose only is that if you have your mouth open when you're in the middle of a fight and you do get hit on the jaw, you've probably got more chance of getting a dislocation.